Hello, everyone. This is Ramirez from Tidewater Renaissance Fighting Arts, and today I wanted to talk a little bit. The title is kind of a take off of the famous novel A Farewell to Arms, but today we're going to say hello to arms and arm armor when fighting in harness fectum. So I have two different arms to show you today. Different styles, different reasons for having them, pros and cons of each. But you'll notice I am still wearing my club t-shirt, but I'm wearing a half gambeson. So obviously if I stand up, you can see it doesn't really go all the way down. But one of the things it does have that I really want to point out is arming points. Whenever you're using arm armor, that's anything that covers the elbow, the forearm, and usually part of the upper arm. These are very heavy parts of armament. And they do require being pointed to another garment. You can't, and I think this is one of the mistakes people make when they're first buying armor. They think, oh, well, I'll buy it and I'll just buckle it down really tight and it'll hold. It won't. It'll slide down your arm. It'll catch on your wrist. There are all sorts of reasons you don't want to do that. So if you're looking at armor or getting arm armor, know that you will need to either already have, as these do, have arming points installed, or you will need to sew in arming points to your akiton or your gambeson. If you're wondering, as far as I'm concerned, the difference in those two words, an akiton is generally just like an arming doublet. It's usually several layers of linen but doesn't have any cotton padding. If you have something that's padded, kind of quilted, I generally consider that a gambeson. So if you're wondering the difference between those two words, but regardless of what you use, as I said, this is a half gambeson. This is wool, but it does have some quilting in it. You're going to need something that has arming points in order to wear arms. The first one is the one I wear in my current kit, the 100th episode. This is from Bergschneider, and this is a fully enclosed arm, at least for the upper cannon, which is the part to the forearm. The back is just half. It just covers the exterior of the arm. It does have several buckles. There's a buckle on the other side to help close this. It also has leather at the top. These two holes are what I use to point this to my arms. I'm not going to fully put it on. It would require the help of a squire. But normally this piece, you can see, those holes would be where the arming straps go through to secure it in place. And one of the reasons I specifically got this is I am not the tallest person in the world, and this has a shorter forearm. So actually I can wear it attached and the elbow's in the right place, and then my arm, this doesn't run down all the way to my wrist. So that was kind of a major selling point for me. There are other arms you can get in other places, or you can get custom arms made where you would have that measurement accounted for. I have found even when I do custom measurements, no one believes my arm is that short because it always ends up a little bit longer than I like. These were specifically advertised as having short forearms, and when I did the measurements, it was going to work for me. So that was the motivation to getting this one. They said at one point when I was asking if this was stainless, if it is, it's a very rough stainless. Not all steels are exactly alike due to their chemical composition. It's more of a satin finish than a mirror finish. But as I said, the main goal was to get something that had lower steel cannons that fit my arms, and this kind of did the trick. I would tell people that, in my experience, you can kind of see where the leather on this strap, which hasn't been used very long, does already beginning to crack, and I will need to replace that fairly soon. That was a bit of a disappointment with these, that the leather wasn't very stronger. I haven't seen it anywhere else, but that's the upper part of my bicep, and definitely that needs to be able to hold in place. So the fact that I will have to replace that is kind of a negative on these. The other thing is whenever you're getting something in steel, you're going to add a lot of weight. So I can tell you from personal experience, having worn these a couple of hours, your arms are going to get tired. It's really cool to have, but a trade-off is, yeah, sometimes you may want to get a lighter weight. I do believe this is a 16 gauge arm, and it's very solid, but weight can be an issue. Sometimes people ask me, well, hey, how do I wear arms and wear chainmail? And in that case, if you've seen my armoring points videos, I tend to feed through the chain these arming points. I'll make a separate set. I will feed them through my chainmail, attaching the arm on top of the chainmail, and then it'll ride into the elbow. I use half sleeves, so it doesn't go into my arm because the arms get very, very bulky that way, but it does cover and make sure I have chainmail from wherever the exposed part under the arm is all the way to my forearm. On the flip side, these are the arms I wear with my brigandine. These were made by Ice Falcon Armory, and you'll notice they're leather. And you might say, well, Ramirez, how's the leather going to protect me? Well, these metal rivets on the inside, this is splinted mail, so they are attached to metal on the inside. They give me pretty good overall protection. Once again, my pauldron is going to cover my upper arm, so when the pauldron's on, you don't really see this leather exposed. You'll just see the elbow, and then you'll have the forearm. And the forearm just kind of straps down fairly tight, and any exterior shots, anything that's going to come out here, will be caught by those metal plates, which, even though not visible, are there. These are very common, this style, in the SCA. You'll see it in Boohurt as well. And it is historical, but probably not as popular because obviously you look at it and say, oh, well, that's just leather. But in terms of performance, this is way lighter and much easier to move than the steel arms. So with that kit, which is a little bit more, I would say, it's not that it's not historical, but it probably is a little more sport optimized. In other words, to move faster, to move better. I find that immensely useful. I was originally going to get that with a steel cannon on the front, the forearm, but Ice Falcon quoted me prices that were a little bit high for that since I was getting the legs at the same time. And the reason he said is putting fluting in a leg is a lot less work than putting fluting in a arm, so the cost is almost the same as the legs. And I was like, that's a little bit out of my budget at that time. So we agreed and we did a splinted mail. So I still have the Gothic fin on here, which is very nice, but we went with a regular splint on the forearm. And as I said, once again, it kind of depends on what you want out of your kit, what time period, what kind of performance. So with this, it increases my mobility quite a bit more, but sometimes when I go to a deed of arms, everyone else is in shiny, mostly, bright, polished armor. And sometimes I want to be. So sometimes I will opt to go away from the sport optimized stuff and go to my nice shiny kit, which you saw in the 100th episode. And there's nothing wrong with either one. I see a lot of people who do use brigandines and splinted mail or splinted arms and even splinted legs to increase mobility. So in saying hello to arms, you should try to figure out what kind of arms work best for you, and you should ask yourself the question why. Some people who want to be more historical, get very, very specific gear, tend to shy away from that. My sport optimized kit has a titanium brigandine, has these arms, has the gauntlets I'll put in another video. And it's meant so that I can move better, so that I have certain advantages I might not have in my more historical kit and my white armor. But sometimes, man, you just want to be pretty out there. You want to look like, your shiny knight out of everyone's fairy tales. And when I want to do that, I'll put on that armor. I'll accept the extra weight that it entails, so that I can be that. So that's my thoughts. Two different styles of arms. So I hope you enjoyed spending a little time with me talking about a hello to arms and arm armor. And once again, thinking about the fact that if you're going to get arm armor, make sure that you have something with arming points that you can actually attach them to hold the weight, so they don't drop down your arm and then bind up your wrist, or have your elbow joint move to a place where your elbow actually isn't. So I just wanted to bring that up. I hope that you found this helpful. Once again, my name is Ramirez. I'm part of Tidewater Renaissance Fighting Arts. We're based out of Norfolk, Virginia. And if you're curious, I'll leave information about our club, and I will see you in the next video.